Hello everyone! Today I wanted to talk about engagement fundamentals in Overwatch. First of all, we need to understand that good engagement timing is all about engaging at the moment when you're able to get the most value out of your resources. And this based on multiple factors, which we're gonna talk about later. There are multiple benefits when we're talking about the good engagement timing. It can be you controlling the map better, it can be you also doing more pressure in general, and because you do so, then you get better resources trade. And eventually, because of it, you will get kills. Based on hundreds of sessions I've done so far, I noticed those two most common problems with timing. Most of the players typically going in way too early without their team or without their tank in general, and not synchronizing the pressure around the big cooldowns and ultimates. I prepared a few clips where we can see this is happening, so they're gonna be two Tracer players I've been coaching. In this clip, you can see that this Tracer player is going in way too early, and because they're gonna be shooting the enemy team from this range, now the enemy is gonna know that they are here, and because of it, they're gonna receive a lot of the pressure. But this engagement just not gonna be any good. They have to be using their recall early, they have to use multiple blinks, but why all of this happened is because the entire attention goes to us. Most of your teammates are positioned really far back. We can see that Doomfist is playing really defensively, using their power block. This gives you understanding that this might be not the best time to engage. We need to find somewhat of a pressure point when our teammates are going in, especially your tank when they go in and doing something. This is another clip from one of the Tracer players I coached. The issue is gonna be the same. We're gonna be on pretty good flank and turning around the enemy attention, potentially, which is really good for the Tracer. But because we're gonna go in too early, all the attention, all the resources are gonna go to you. And this may be not bad at all if your teammates are around, but now, because nobody is able to capitalize of our pressure, then this becomes easier for them, for the enemy team to take space. And for you as a Tracer player, it's not as easy to control the map and secure any kills. Even though you forced out a bunch of resources there, it's not gonna end up too good for you or your teammates. I know that I used only Tracer gameplay examples, but you can apply to any character you are playing. In here, it's just a little bit easier because the Tracer is more mobile character and it's easier to see your mistake affecting your gameplay, but it can be you playing support, it can be you playing the tank. A lot of the times, you may be going in way too early, not checking the outlines of your teammates, not checking where the rest of your core is, and maybe not anticipating where the fight is gonna take place. How to solve that problem and make your engagement timing look good is, first off, try to time pressure with your team. And the generality is that you need to usually look at your tank and see what are they doing. Because your tank absorbs initial pressure, there's gonna be high chance for you to do more damage and control the space effectively. Your tanks go in, and then that's what I call 0.5 second rule. You can engage after them. Usually, it's always good to start with this initial exercise, try to track what your tank is doing. But then after that, you can be tracking the rest of your team as well. That's a little bit more complicated task because you have to track more variables on the map. But once you identify where most of your team is able to pressure, then you should be doing something in that area. Of course, there might be some exceptions to this rule too, which we can talk about. But in general, we're pressuring in the area with the rest of our team. And something what can really help you is try to track what kind of ultimates are going to be coming up for your teammates and what kind of cooldowns or big burst damage you also have, and try to see what is that area where they will be doing the damage, where they will be doing that pressure with their cooldowns. It can be the Honest Grenade, it can be even Widow Shot, it can be pretty strong, and this makes it easier for you to control the map. If you're talking about exception rules, those are usually going to be around if you're able to get a kill. If you're confident that you can win that 1v1, maybe there's gonna be somewhat of an isolated target, or somebody's really low on their resources, they use a bunch of defensive cooldowns, or if you're trying to spawn camp the person, if you're playing Tracer, then this might be a good time for you to go in as well, even without your team. Now, let's watch how some pro players are implementing this idea. First clip here is gonna be by Chazm. They're playing ball, and this is gonna be one of the unranked GMs where they wanted to do it without any deaths, and they made it successfully because most of it is gonna be your good engagement timing. and synchronizing with the rest of what your core is doing. You can see that they're trying to set up on this what I call 180 off angle. In here, they're trying to take as much damage as possible, setting up in the room and always looking at the outlines of their teammates. So what do we have in here currently? Well, first off, they have Sombra and Pharah on their team. So that is something what you can synchronize your pressure with, and a lot of the times they might be even communicating and asking the person, are you ready to go in? Are you ready to hack somebody? Are you ready to use your AMP, for example? All of this makes it easy for you to engage. Maybe you not necessarily have to communicate with your team too, but you can always look at the information, what kind of information you see on the field, and then go based off that. For example, here they see that their Sombra is currently almost ready to set up. Their Pharah is kind of trying to set up as well, so we don't want to be engaging yet. We want to play it really slow. Make sure that we have most of our resources. We need to have most of our armor. We need to have our shields. Yet do not get forced those too early. And they're waiting, being really patient. And you see that Sombra has been running over here. They also check for the information, pressing tab. Maybe there have been some additional swaps from the enemy team. Maybe they forgot about it. But they see that now, once their team is ready, they can be going in. And they look for the slam in here. And it just gets so much value because slam combined with the damage from the Pharah and maybe the pressure from your Sombra too is gonna do quite a lot in here. And you see them constantly trying to play around those spikes of pressure. That's how I like to call it. And of course, there might be exceptions as well. We can try to get a kill on our own if the target is isolated and really low on resources. Like this Cassidy has been pretty isolated for a small period of time around that corner, and eventually they're getting really killable. But the rest of our team is pressuring. It becomes so easy for us to secure the kill. We see that the fight is going in here on the payload. Now we almost able to secure the space, but have to play it slow. Of course, we don't want to be pushing in way too hard because our teammates also losing on the numbers, but eventually they secure the point. Later on, there's gonna be a second engagement on the third point, and they always checking the status of their teammates. What kind of ultimates we have available? They see that their Sombra got the MP. We see that the Pharah got a barrage. So that is something what we can engage around. If I know that my Sombra is in the fight, we're more likely to provide the space for them, distract people, and because of it, she may get kills. There's gonna be quite a lot of value. So we're spending this initial time to just try to set up, get the best position possible. For the ball, it's gonna be usually some sort of flank option. You see, they're being really creative, going above this choke here and going in for the slam with the mines together, cutting off the enemy defensive rotation. So it becomes really hard for them to escape from our kill zone in here. And AMP follows because we checked for that and we checked for the position of the Sombra. You can also communicate with your teammates too, and this way it helps you to synchronize the engagement. And like we said, always it's gonna be a good idea after we've done the pressure to try to clear the staggers, maybe search for isolated target too. Another example can be from one of the pro players, Pelican. They're playing Tracer. You can see this is gonna be a great example of when you can go in no matter what. We're talking about taking this 1v1 with the enemy Tracer, taking this 1v1 duel, and even though they still know they can do it whenever it's possible, they have to be really patient and use the resources on the map. They have to play any HP packs, still try to maintain good angle control in here, and we see they try to duel the Tracer here a little bit. Even without their team, it's still possible. Maybe we can also look for the engagements like this too. Once our Doomfist goes in, of course, we said that we have to synchronize around what our team is doing, especially our tank. When he goes in, when we see the nano on him, that means our tank is going aggressive. Whenever you see any ultimate popping, that means you can take more space typically. There might be situations where it's not possible at all, but that's what we're usually looking for. This initial trying to go in with a team, that's the most general thing you're trying to do, and you also trying to search for those small 1v1s. And you see, again, we're gonna be isolating the enemy, trying to deal with 1v1 with that Tracer, playing patiently, grab an HP pack, going in on the stairs to saw off their aim a little bit, and eventually they should be winning this 1v1. You don't even have to get a kill a lot of the times when we're talking about winning. It's all about resource trade and space control. If we pushed enemy angles out, if we pushed enemy trace out, then it makes it easy for our team to take space, and they are not under threat of the Tracer to be attacking. You see, there's actually Hisang on the Tracer, really good Tracer player too. The Pelican is able to secure the kill, and after that we can be pushing and taking space. And even though we have an advantage, still be cautious and look at what your tank is doing. Playing with your Doomfist should go in, and after that we should follow up in 0.5 seconds, try to complement that pressure. Be really careful. Of course, you can look for more aggressive engagements if if you have a big advantage securing the kill like this on the Mercy, for example, but this is gonna be more of an exception rule. And another clip can be from one of the best supports on the Lucio. It's gonna be FunnyAstro. They play Lucio pretty good, and if I look at their composition, what kind of cooldowns or general big pressure they could be synchronizing with? It can be Pharah burst damage, it can be the slam from the bow, it can also be the burst damage from Zenyatta once they discord somebody. And if you know that, if you're telling yourself that before the fight starts, before the game even starts, then this makes it easy for you to understand where and when you're gonna be pressuring. You're always looking at how your team is rotating, you're looking at their outlines, and maybe you can even track their shots visually. You don't have to always look around, which you definitely can do if there's no visual information about the projectiles, but you have to always scout, you have to always check what's going on. So now we see their team is gonna be at setup stage, playing it really slow. We're not getting our resources first. We have our amp, we also have our boop, and once something is gonna be happening, then we can mess up the enemy engage. And here they use a healing station to just stabilize a little bit, but this happens, more of an exception. But then after that, when the enemy pressure is gonna be happening, we see that our ball is engaging and we can capitalize with, you see them going really aggressive and searching for the options to do more damage. Later on, once the fight develops, it can always scout for isolated targets on the enemy team too. Like we can see that the enemy soldier is quite stuck in the choke here, pretty low HP, low on resources, so that is something what we can go after, especially because Sparker on the Tracer and Zenyatta also go on that person too, and we easily able to secure the kill. After that, playing here, playing it safe, but still trying to synchronize the pressure around what our team is doing. If they're not going in, if we need to play passive, then you're not posturing aggressively. Do not tunnel vision. Always switch between this aggressive, kind of playing fast mode and slow mode. And just one more example during this chaotic fight, you can see how Naga is getting discorded. That's exactly what we're talking about. When there is a big cooldown from your teammate, which they place on the field, you can try to apply pressure a little bit more. It's gonna be spike of the pressure. If we are trying to do a little bit damage towards this Naga, he more likely will be giving up space. Maybe he will try to use the recall. Maybe it's gonna be multiple blinks to try to survive. But all of that leads to you securing the point in easier way. Of course, here eventually FunnyAstro got killed, unfortunately, but still, they playing it really well and synchronizing around the tempo of what their team is doing and just seeing the fight in general. What kind of info you have, maybe you see the targets isolated, maybe you see that your teammates are going in. That is something what you always gotta keep in mind. I want to say that don't be overwhelmed with all of this. Try to really pick one specific thing you will be tracking in your games, and then you will be better in terms of engagement timing. Maybe it's gonna be trying to track your tank. Maybe it's gonna be trying to track 1 or 2 cooldowns on your team. Eventually, you want to get to the point where you're able to track almost every possible cooldown on the enemy team, on your team, and the entire locations of all those people. Kind of try to create this mind map and see where everybody is on the field. That is all what I wanted to tell you about engagement timing. If you want to know more, then feel free to subscribe, and you can find me on Matterify to do a session with me. I'm posting all the info about in-game concepts on my website and spreadsheet for free. But if you want more structure, then feel free to sub to my community on Matterify. This way, you get access to structured materials in guides format, my lesson notes, and additionally, you can get weekly war reviews. All links in the description down below.